Hello and welcome to Shannon Gardens. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about one of the more unusual plants that I have in my garden, and it's not unusual in that it's difficult to take care of. Actually, it's the exact opposite, and it's extremely easy to take care of, but it's just different in the flowers and the structure of the plant itself, and that is the Cleome, also known as the spider flower. Now the Cleome is generally marked as an annual in most zones, with the exception of zones 10 and 11, where it's marked as a perennial. I am in zone 7B in the southeast, and it is marked as an annual in my zone. However, there are a lot of varieties of Cleome that self-seed, and I actually have the self-seeding variety. And so even though I planted my plant years and years ago, it has come back year after year with no help from me. This has been all on its own, and it has self-seeded and come back, and I have enjoyed those flowers every year since I originally planted that plant all those years ago. Now the Cleome comes in several different colors. It can come in white, pink, rose, lavender, or it can come with bicolor flowers. So I thought I would take you guys to my garden to show you the Cleome that I have growing, and then point out some of the highlights and characteristics of the Cleome and why I enjoy having it in my garden so much. All right, so let's go take a look. I first wanted to show an up-close view of the flower head itself and just look at the colors. I think they are so beautiful and so unique looking. Now, as you can see, there are clusters of blooms at the top of the stem, and what's surprising to me is that this plant does not need to be staked. This is due to the strong taproot, which holds everything up, even with this plant that I'm showing you guys standing at about 5 feet tall. Now the Cleome can range anywhere from about 1.5 to 5 feet tall and 1 to 2 feet wide, depending on the variety. They grow best in well-draining soil and full sun to light shade, and bloom from about June to frost. Now, another thing that I love about Cleome is that they're drought tolerant and deer and rabbit resistant. And I will tell you guys that I've had deer visiting the garden, and I have a couple rabbits living up there currently. And while they've been munching on some other plants, they have not bothered the Cleome. Now, another thing I did want to mention is that some varieties have spines that do have thorns and sticky stems, while other varieties don't. So you'll want to make sure to wear gloves when you handle them if they do. And mine do, so I'm just always sure and careful to wear my gloves before handling the plants. Another thing to note is that the Cleome can tend to be sparse at the bottom, so you may want to plant shorter plants in front of them while making sure to allow for good air circulation. So as I mentioned in the beginning, there are varieties that self-seed, and then some are sterile and don't produce viable seeds. Now mine do, and as you will see, they have rows of pods that will split open and disperse on their own. So right here, you'll see where one has started to split. I did not split that one, and those seeds will just fall out, and then they will self-seed on their own. I don't do anything to aid in that process, and just let them come up as they will. Now, there have been times when the Cleome has come back and I've tried transplanting them if I'm not happy with where they naturally came up, and I just have found that they don't transplant well for me. I don't know if you guys have experienced something different, so I've just learned to leave them as is and enjoy them in the spot that they've naturally appeared. Now, something else that I really love about the Cleome is how great they are at attracting hummingbirds, butterflies, bees, and other pollinators, and most notably the hummingbird moth, which you guys will see here in just a moment, and those appear in the evenings. Now, I have a hummingbird that I'm showing here, and they are at this plant a lot during the day and in the evenings. And here is where I have the hummingbird moth. And I apologize for the quality of this part of the video, but I had a hard time keeping up with this hummingbird moth. It was all over the place, but we see these often in the evenings in the summers as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really enjoyed sharing about the Cleome and why I enjoy it so much, as well as showing you guys some of the hummingbirds and butterflies on them, as well as the hummingbird moth, which is so neat as well. So thank you so much for joining me again. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, happy gardening and goodbye.